All right, I want to get to your involvement in a Montgomery County protest in a few minutes here as we talk about that anti-illegal immigration rally because of all the rapes in Montgomery County. We'll get to that in a second. But first, I want to start with the big news of the weekend coming out of the New York Times. And the New York Times has this incredible piece about a new allegation against Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. They're using this allegation, by the way, to shore up the Deborah Ramirez allegation. This Ramirez had apparently, the allegation was that he had thrust himself at a party at her. And now they have this new allegation that Brett Kavanaugh, his genitals were pushed into the hand by his friends. His friends pushed his genitals into the hands of a woman at a party at Yale. And then overnight, the New York Times publishes, which essentially amounts to a retraction of their entire story, that the woman has no memory of this event.
That's right.
And that information didn't make it into the piece until 24 hours after it was first published in the first place. What is going on, Tom?
What I think is going on is intimidation of the Supreme Court just before the term begins. These are not new smears. These are repackaged smears. The second allegation that the New York Times essentially had to retract was already made shortly before Kavanaugh was confirmed. And back then, the alleged victim couldn't remember anything like it happening. So nothing new has happened. The same guy was pushing it, and the same alleged victim had no memory of it happening. So, of course, Mr. Kavanaugh, Justice Kavanaugh, adamantly denies it. And the Ramirez case is similarly fantastic. Back when it was first reported out, she couldn't remember it happening, or that he was involved in something weird happening at Yale. And she had to call her friend saying, was Kavanaugh involved in this? And she only remembered it happening after 6 days of consulting with her lawyer. So, look, the Senate already considered these allegations, found them to be wanting, kind of like the crazy, incredible allegations of Dr. Ford, I think. Mm-hmm. And I just, the New York Times owes Kavanaugh an apology. And, the president was talking about Kavanaugh should sue them for libel. I thought he should have done that first time round, back last year, and he didn't. Now they're back, and now they're going to try to impeach him over it. And this shows you the left is just undermining and trying to destroy the constitutional republic, targeting Trump with the coup, trying to violently overthrow the Senate with the Kavanaugh nominations. I remember they were there. It was violent and it was false, and they were trying to overthrow the system of the Senate to stop Kavanaugh. And now they're assaulting the Supreme Court. There's nothing that's not part. There's no part of our constitutional republic that isn't under assault right now by the left. It's terrible to see.
Well, it's because they accepted the outcome of that last election.
Yeah.
The president,
politics, the Constitution doesn't get in the way of politics for them.
No. So now you have a sitting Supreme Court justice probably not going to sue now because he is a sitting Supreme Court justice. The president also tweeted, though, that the Justice Department should come to Kavanaugh's rescue. What can they do to stop this? How can they come to his rescue?
Well, I recall that some folks were referred to the Justice Department last year about this. I think some of the witnesses...
Julie Swetnick.
Julie Swetnick, at least one person was referred to by Chuck Grassley. Look, we complained about Senator Booker violating the rules, Ford's lawyers violating the ethics rules. The D.C. Bar didn't want to do anything. The Senate Ethics Committee, which is controlled by both parties, refused to do anything about the blatant rule breaking by the senators at the time. And surprise, surprise, the bullies come back.
Yeah. What do you make of all these Democratic presidential candidates rushing out to say that Brett Kavanaugh should now be impeached because of these allegations?
Well, Kamala Harris and Cory Booker both were part of that cabal of senators on the Senate Judiciary Committee, yes, who abused their offices to target Justice Kavanaugh. If anyone should be impeached, those are the folks we should be talking about.
It's time to see people start to be punished for all of this. You also have the From the IG, from the DOJ IG, the report from Horowitz was sent to Bill Barr to be reviewed,
Right.
hearing that it may come out the end of September, beginning of October. We may see some movement on that. We may start to see some of that come out publicly. Have you heard anything about that? Have you heard anything coming out from that, number one? And number two, we're talking about consequences. We're talking about no consequences in the Kavanaugh allegations. Will we see any consequences coming out of this as well? We've got Andrew McCabe being referred. Are we going to see any consequences there?
We're going to see a tough IG report that criticizes the FISA-gate process, maybe calls it illegal. I would suspect those warrants were gotten improperly. I suspect it because we already know it because of the documents, frankly, that Judicial Watch uncovered. Look, the IG referred James Comey, the FBI Director for Criminal Investigation, not on some of these core issues, and the DOJ refused to prosecute. I think it doesn't augur well for any prosecutions on FISA-gate alone.
Tom Fitton from Judicial Watch is here. In a moment, we're going to talk about Montgomery County and the illegal immigrant rapes that have been occurring there. Judicial Watch and Tom Fitton are prepared to sue Montgomery County. We'll ask him why in just a moment. All right, we're here with Tom Fitton, the president of Judicial Watch. Tom, you were a part of a rally in Montgomery County on Friday of concerned citizens who are sick and tired of seeing illegal immigrant rapes happening in the county, which is a sanctuary county, which has become a magnet for illegal immigration. Hundreds of people speaking loudly and clearly that they're unhappy with the leadership there in Montgomery County. Tom, what did you make of that rally?
Oh, it was good to see. It was good to see activism as a result of activists from radio talk show hosts, frankly, Vince and Larry O'Connor and Mary. We wouldn't have had that crowd if we didn't have this public-minded activism by community leaders such as yourselves. So I'm glad to go out there. Judicial Watch has been battling Montgomery County as long as I can remember on this very issue. And of course, it's front and center because of rapes associated with illegal aliens released because of the sanctuary policy. You know, the policy is, unless ICE gets there within an hour, they release these criminal illegal aliens. Now, where is ICE's offices? Up in Baltimore. Imagine getting a call from you're in Baltimore saying you got to be down in Montgomery County in an hour, otherwise there are going to be severe consequences. It's just not going to happen in the Washington area. Everyone around here drives; they know what it's like. So this is obviously a sanctuary policy. It's an attack on ICE by putting them in the corner and making it nearly impossible to safely evaluate whether to keep these people or detain them. So Judicial Watch filed a Freedom of Information Act request, a records request under Maryland law with Montgomery County about these specific alleged rapists and the policy. And unless they give us the documents, we are likely to sue for the full record of what's going on up there.
Is there any way for Montgomery County executives, or if I'm thinking of Mark Elrich, is there any way for him to be held liable for any harm that comes out of his policies?
I don't know. It's probably it depends on who does what and when. If I were the Justice Department, I would be looking very carefully at these sanctuary policies to see if there's a nexus, a direct nexus between an individual criminal alien being released contrary to federal law and an act by a public official. And if there is, I would prosecute. I think what ICE ought to do also is open up an office in Montgomery County so this 1 hour time that they have to get over there to pick up any illegal alien criminals does not become even more of a significant impairment than it already is.
Right.
But in the meantime, now Montgomery County is a border town because of this sanctuary policy. It attracts illegal aliens, and we have illegal alien populations in Montgomery County increasing because the rule of law doesn't matter there anymore.
But to Mary's question, I mean, we have seen federal prosecutors go after state officials for helping illegal immigrants evade ICE. As a matter of fact, remember, there was that Massachusetts judge who was charged with obstruction of justice for hustling an illegal immigrant out the door of the courthouse before an ICE officer could pick that immigrant up. That's a real case. So Montgomery County officials are treading in very dangerous water when it comes to their behavior here.
Yes, that's why I called on the Justice Department to analyze whether to prosecute based on what Vince is saying, aiding and abetting, obstructing of justice.
Yep.
We cannot have public officials undermining the rule of law and placing the public safety secondary to politics in such a bold way without accountability, at least criminal accountability, maybe even civil. Who knows?
All right, Tom Fitton, as always, thank you for your good work trying to get some
Thank
clarity
you.
out of government, which is